Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Friday, TGIF. Congratulations, you made it through another week. And I have to tell you something. This is I've already been filming down here for a good 20 minutes. I had 11 minutes worth of video that I had to delete because it was a response, kind of like a rant discussion thing. And I said, you know, you don't want to sit through all that, you know, so I'm trying to redo it over and cut it down. Let me tell you what it's about real quick. Let's head over to the... Okay, so one of my other videos last week, I was filing and like this, and my buddy, my good friend Tony from UK, Tony, from across the pond said, John, please don't ever file without a file handle. But I have to tell you something. This is where it all started off. I must have hundreds of hours of filing and hacksawing. Those two things I've been doing since a kid, and I prefer them a lot of times to my power tools. I will spend 20 minutes with a hacksaw rather than take 3 seconds with a chop saw. It's just the way I am. Now, filing without a handle, let me go through that. Now, as you know from my other videos, I probably have a couple hundred files down here, and I have all different types, shapes, sizes. And one thing I can always say is I never understood what this whole tang idea was. I understand that it's meant to go in a handle, but it just makes no sense. It's just, in my opinion, it's a bad design. It always has been, but you kind of work around it. Now, file manufacturers have thus come back with better molded handles that are incorporated on the file. A lot of them, even Nicholson, have made their Handy series, which actually has a flat handle that's part of it. And, you know, they sell a lot more than these type do. But this tang design has always been, you know, something that always confused me. I don't understand why they never fixed that earlier. However, with all the different styles of handles there are, believe it or not, one of the best file handles you can have is a corn cob. It is just phenomenal. It's grippy, it's comfortable, it's lightweight, really good. The wood ones are okay if you keep them tight, but the problem with a file handle always has been, every one of them, is there's a disconnect between you and the tool. You know, when you have this file handle here, you don't have the same feel, nor do you have the same geometry, because, you know, now it's a big bulky thing on this. It's a strange thing, and if you've never filed without a handle, you might think, I don't understand what he's talking about. Here's another one, the golf ball handle. Although it feels great in the hand, and it's good for pushing, it's a strange geometry if you've never... And I was taught to file without a handle. And the reason is because years ago, we never had handles on our files. And you can see this is an older file, this old Johnson, nice file. This one here, you can see somebody, wasn't my family, somebody, you know, filed this down a little bit, or with a stone or something, so that it's more comfortable to file without a handle. And I prefer always filing without a handle, and let me show you why. Now, the funny thing is, like I said, I'm sure I'm the only channel that's going to suggest you filing without a file handle. That is absolutely ludicrous. Ask any shop teacher. Well, let me show you something, okay? First of all, you know, the file, a lot of people will say that a file handle helps you get the full stroke, the full use of a file, of all the teeth on a file, but anybody that's been filing for a while knows there's a sweet spot. And when they say sweet spot, it's usually the belly, the middle of the file. That's where, you know, you get that stroke here. If you extend too far or you pull back too far, you know, these are always your sharpest teeth, you know, the two edges, but those are meant for other projects when sometimes you need that sharpness. But usually you're going to wear from about 2 inches from here till about, an inch up from here. And when you put the file in your hand, and this is where it's important, you know, you never put the file where the tang is going to butt into your palm. You always hold it like this, okay? And when you hold it like this, if it ever does get caught on something, the only time I use a file handle is on the lathe, because it's spinning towards me. But when you're pushing, there's nowhere for this file. And if it does grip, which I've never had it happen, if it does grip, it'll push this way. But if you're holding the file, I don't understand. It's not like it's slippery. There's no reason for this to slip in your hand. So 3 fingers on the tang like this, your thumb on the side. You can put your finger on top or on the side. on the front of the file, 2 fingers here, and the palm, okay? And let me show you the beauty of this. I got to cut the volume so it doesn't sound like fingernails on a chalkboard, but let me show you something here, what it should look like. Okay, now we flattened this out, and you can see the nice finish we have on here. Now the beauty of this, again, with having the control on here, now to get a better finish, I could tilt the file a little bit, get a diagonal cut, and I can also lighten up on the pressure. There you see a little slightly different finish on there. But take a look at that finish. Now that, just a couple strokes of the file, you will not have that because it's, believe it or not, your arm is more in line with the file when you don't have a handle. When you have a handle, you kind of, you know, it's a whole different feel. And I wonder if there's anybody out there that prefers, like I do, a file without a handle. Let me know in the comments, because I'm sure there's got to be 2 other people out there that feel the way I do, that filing is something, it's an enjoyable process that when you do it, you know, there's so much feel and so much geometry that has to come in with getting a good finish. Now there's that diamond cut pattern that we just did. Now, if you wanted to make out a better finish, you would take a mill file with a flat finish, and we'll show you what that looks like to finish. Now you can see a much smoother finish on there by using the finer file, and again, a different pattern. But one is a coarse file to take a lot of material off. This one will finish it off to a nice finish. So again, if ever you're going to try and file without a file handle, remember, you have to grip the tip, hold the tip like this, and it should be in your hand like this, okay? You see where that tip is? So this way, if anything does grip the file has nowhere to go. Never ever file gooseneck style. Okay, that's, I don't know who files like this, but if you do, you have a way of injuring yourself. But keep your arms straight. If the file ever did grip, the file is nowhere to go but outside. So that's just my response. I always preferred filing without a file on, because that's the way I learned. Now, some files like jewelers or needle files might be hard to grip. You might want to handle. In closing, I wonder if there's any of you out there that do prefer filing without a file handle, as I do. And also, I'm sure you were taught in any kind of trade school, that's the first thing, you always put a file on the handle, because obviously the teachers don't want to be doing first aid when they're teaching you shop work, you know. Same thing with the wearing long sleeves on a lathe. You'll always learn that in a trade school or shop class or something like that. But in the real life, or, you know, you'll see a lot of machinists wear long sleeve shirts. So anyway, let me know what you think about that, and leave your thoughts in the comments. And Tony, thanks very much for bringing that up. Good discussion. For today's project, I want to tackle that old lantern we got. You remember we got that a while ago? Now, that is a two-step restoration. Like, the first step will get it looking decent, and then the second step will get it to be working, okay? So let's see if we can't do the first step. Let's take a look at what we got going on. Okay, remember our EXCELLIGHT? Remember this cool light with the chicken wire and the glass and stuff? Well, I just went over to the bottom here just to see what it would look like. And look at that. You see that? Here, look at that, just with the wire brush. So what do you say? I can't do a full restoration because it's a multi-day restoration. I don't have that kind of time. However, let's see what we can do just to clean it up a little bit. Okay, I guess you could see where we're going with this, right? You can see here, this is after a couple hours of, you know, I went over with the wire brush. I went over it with the fiber wheel. Gives you, you know, I'm not trying to get obviously a full polish out of this. What I'm trying to do is give it kind of a luster and get rid of the finish. Now, for the cracks in here, there's a ton of these hard cracks. I'm going to use a Dremel with a wire brush, but also you wrap a piece of Scotch-Brite around a screwdriver, and you try and get in there like that. And again, it takes a while, and the Scotch-Brite will, you know, dull out, so you got to keep turning around. But you know, we'll get to that. We'll try and get all this area out of there. You can see it's a lot of lot of work, right? A lot of time, but you know, you see the difference. It definitely has. This has some great character, doesn't it? Just look at that. That's such a. Whoever designed this, you know, they were just on a different level, weren't they? Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, with the Dremel, we're going to use these two types of wire brushes. I buy them in bulk like this, but now Dremel themselves makes these that are great, but these are the Chinese knockoffs, and these are horrible. But they do, you get what you pay for, you know? But they will get in spots. But you got to remember something. You can't use them at full speed on the Dremel because these things spit out wire like unbelievable. So always wear your face shield and things like that because it will get in your clothes and everything the way these spit out wire. And they're real thin. But this is great for what we need it for now. Now we cleaned up the socket. We got the old bulb out of there. Remember, the bulb was detached. I guess it's a 6 volt. I don't know if this was an 1156, right? It's probably a number on here that we could see here. I'll have to make that out later. Now for the reflector was old, you know, it was all messed up. So I'm polishing it out using some vintage polish. Look, it's coming up nice, so that'll go in nice. Now, you know my favorite part. Remember what this steampunk lantern looked like before we started? And we're calling this project half done. Now, we have the outside the way we wanted it, and we wanted to get this to a look where it kind of looked industrial, you know? I didn't want to obviously bring it to, you can't bring it to a full polish. It's kind of a cast aluminum, and it would take many hours to go through this whole thing. But I have it who has a nice luster. It looks like it just came out of the mine. Fixed up you could see that the tag looks real good. EXCELLIGHT, the tag came out nice. Of course, the reflector came out real nice inside. All the latches work beautifully, like they're, you know, just like they're supposed to. Everything is real nice. Now what we have to do, and also the handle. Now, what I did with the handle, because it was old, it was very dry after, God knows, maybe almost 100 years, right? So I used one of my favorite things, this Hubert's shoe grease. Anybody ever out there ever use this? This thing smells like a campfire. It's the most amazing smelling stuff, but if you can, pause and read that. That's really interesting. Since 1929, and it's out of Arizona, and yeah, really interesting. Great stuff. I've been using this for a while. Now, let me show you the interesting part here. Now that we have it operating nice, you know, the switch, everything operates nice, lubricated the switch, the insides. This was interesting because when you open up the latch here, the door, the glass, you know, is in here, obviously. But with the reflector, when you loosen this little tab here, just loosen that up, give it a couple. This will push in and out. You can see that is how you focus the bulb. So that's interesting. Got that, and that tightens it up, locks it in whenever you have your focus. Listen to when this closes. It sounds like you were closing a porthole of a ship. Now, one thing that I'm curious about now, I can put any type of battery. There's enough room that I could fit any type of battery in there. But this is an unusual bulb, and what it is, I believe, this is a BA15D. BA15D. BA stands for bayonet. 15 is the millimeters in how wide it is, and the D stands for double contact. So I believe that's a BA15D. Trying to get it in 6 volt is a little difficult because, you know, they're very pricey out there. They're available, but I don't know why they're so expensive. So might want to convert it to 12 volt. I have to see. Anybody have any thoughts out there? I can convert. I can also get a conversion to a candelabra bulb, but there aren't too many DC candelabra bulbs. But I didn't want to go with the LED option because it's a vintage light, and yeah, I want to keep it looking. So in closing, I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care now. Bye-bye.